There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Thursday. Happy Halloween. As you can see, I'm dressed up as your favorite podcaster. No, it's not true. Okay. I'm going as the Joker. I just didn't want to wear the face paint and the hair. You get what I'm getting at. Uh, my daughter will be going as Harley Quinn, so I'm going to be going as the Joker. And after this, I got to get back to making sure our haunted house is like well set up. I can't wait. We really went all out this year. We're making the haunted house. The kids are loving it. And I am too. I'll be honest. It's the first Halloween that I'm kind of really into it since, I don't know, since like my 20s. The kids are fired up. So if you have kids that are fired up for Halloween, I'd love to hear it in the comments and anything else you want to get off your chest in the comments. If it's your first time, let's hear it. So welcome to the Hard to Kill podcast live Thursday edition. I'm your host, Dave Morrow. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome, welcome. As the people slowly populate in, I have a nasty habit of being like our prime minister and showing up a little bit late to my lives. But I have an excuse. I was doing a great podcast with Brian. Brian's dropping some heat, man, some scandal related to CanSoft and some spying on Canadians. Oh boy. Whew. If I wasn't called a Russian asset for reals before, I'm definitely going to be called a Russian asset after this episode. So it's a two-parter. We had a lot to go over. Brian had a lot of information, so a lot to wrap my head around. So that's the reason why I'm late. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So I'd love to know how you folks are doing. Start dropping some comments, whether it's related to fitness and health or whether it's related to just how you're feeling. Drop in the comments. Make sure to make sure to share this with folks too. This is how the algorithm works. If you guys weren't tracking, it really helps other people get dialed into what we're talking about here as the podcast continues to grow, and it's because of you. So thank you so much. Need to remind you folks that if you're not already a member, meaning we have 0 members right now, but if you want to help buy me a coffee every month, you can go to the memberships area. It's right here. If you're on your app, just slide over and go to the memberships area. There's 2 tiers of memberships that you can become a part of. They're both monthly memberships. And what that does is it helps keeps the lights on here. Like, see all this fancy stuff that's here? See how I'm broad? Like, literally everything here takes cash money, and every little bit goes a long way, and you get perks for it. It's not just you giving me money and saying thanks, bro. There's merchandise perks, there's shout outs, there's videos that are just for members. You get early access to videos as well. So as we start building the audience here and as we start getting better and better and crazier guests, you're going to get first crack at watching the episodes. So this doesn't grow without you, and I've gotten this far thanks to all your support. So if you want to take it up one more notch, become a member today and help support the podcast. So what are we chatting about today? Well, the title of the live is, should Afghan interpreters get VAC benefits? So that's kind of the guiding question for today, because it's in the news, and this is something that has been on my mind for years. And we're also going to look at a recent guest that I had on the show that I'm going to be releasing the episode in about a week or so, who was intimately connected to the American effort to get our Afghan friends and interpreters home, and his perspective on it. He wrote a book about the Abbey Gate incident, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Any one of us that was involved in it knows how hard that was on the soul. So today we're going to be looking a little bit deeper into the policies that surround our Afghan friends and what should be done about it. So before we get into it, let's do our moment to share and chill. I'm going to have to create a little video for this. If any creative people out there want to help me out with that, that'd be great. First and foremost, if you haven't gone to DaveMorrow.net, that's my old website. You can still go there, but you'll end up at the same spot. But you go to hardtokill.org, and if you haven't been here yet, head over there. There's all kinds of resources here. You guys are already tuning into the podcast, but I put up live webinars as well. I've got a bunch of workout programs that are here, and just highlights kind of what I'm up to. And if you haven't done so yet, hit that easy button. Okay. It's going to give you access to the free Hard to Kill community. Okay. You can also sign up for the newsletter. It's not popping up here because obviously I've been on the site numerous times, but you can also sign up to the newsletter. Newsletter will give you all the details as to when podcasts are dropping. Okay. So when they're actually going to be on the YouTube and on Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts, but you're also going to get, listen to this, updates of when my new book is dropping. My new book is called Harden the F Up, and I can't wait. It's going to be dropping on Black Friday. So for those of you that want to get an early sneak peek, you're going to want to sign up to the newsletter. So head over to hardtokill.org and sign up today. Okay. Samson, how's it going? Good to see you here. And Odious Patton, as per usual, liking and sharing. Love it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So let's see what else is going on in veteran land. This is going to be a bit of a Kelsey Sharon show. So this is a press conference that showed up on my X feed from yesterday. So this is Kelsey Sharon is a combat veteran, author and host of the Kelsey Sharon Perspective. If you are not up to speed, she fought for Canada and Afghanistan in 2009 and came back with PTSD. She finally found the help she needed to recover through psychedelic psilocybin therapy out of country. She joined a group in a press conference room advocating for government to cover psychedelic assisted therapy for veterans. So let's tune in and see what Kelsey has to say.
Hey everyone, my name is Kelsey Sharon. I'm a Canadian combat veteran. I was injured in Afghanistan in 2009. I was an artillery gunner and female searcher with the British military. Throughout my time in the Canadian Armed Forces, I had experienced death and destruction on a level that I was not prepared to handle. Watching my friends die and disappear in the blink of an eye, and firing on enemy forces in service and protection of my home and this country. My deployment to Afghanistan changed my life forever. Following my injury, I was told, and I quote, I would have been easier if I had died outside the wire. It would have been less paperwork to deal with. The mental and physical pain I have endured since my service has left a mark on me for the rest of my life. Before I was medically released, I was told I would never work again at the age of 21. I would never be a productive part of society. I would never have healthy children due to my exposures overseas and due to the overprescribed pharmaceutical drugs and what they could do to a fetus. In Afghanistan, I was 19 years old, 5 foot tall, and 100 pounds. I was put on 11 different psychoactive drugs following my injury. And that was all while I was still firing in a war zone, a machine gun, and an M777. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, hearing loss, major depressive disorder, treatment-resistant depression, and an undiagnosed traumatic brain injury. Great question here, guys. For years, I dreamt of suicide and making the pain stop. I was willing to try and do whatever it took to make it go away. See, I didn't want to die, but I couldn't live like this any longer. Standing here today, I am one of the lucky ones, but only because of a community of veterans around me that saw me and saw I was drowning, reached out their hand and grabbed me. They were willing to do whatever it took to get me the help that I so desperately needed. I was forced to leave and go outside of Canada to access psychedelic-assisted therapy for treatment to save my own life. And since then, in Canada, I was fortunate to receive access to psilocybin-assisted therapy through the Special Access Program with assistance from Apex Labs. But to get there was a fight I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. While the process was brutal and at times made me feel completely helpless, what truly shocked me was when Health Canada was pushing for me to try electroshock therapy. They still wanted me to try it even though they knew I had a traumatic brain injury. They wanted me to do this before they would grant me access to psychedelic-assisted therapy. After all that I have been through, Veterans Affairs has still denied my claim for coverage 3 times. I was lucky that Apex Labs stepped up to help, but not everyone will be as lucky as me. and this is not a sustainable long-term solution for care. We all need to step up and address the mental health crisis facing our veterans in this country. We have to stop pretending that psychedelic therapies are not a viable option. Veterans across the world are finally healing because of these treatments, not because of more SSRIs or opioids or pharmaceutical drugs that have to be taken every single day and often for your entire life. They are healing because of psychedelics and community, and they are able to find a purpose again. Tragically, there are some in this country that are accessing medical assistance in dying for mental health conditions, while psychedelic therapies remain largely inaccessible. How is this possible? It is critical that doctors and patients are informed about the life-saving potential of psychedelic-assisted therapies, and that there are minimal barriers for patients experience this extreme level of pain to access these treatments. I want to thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to speak today. And I encourage any of you that are watching this, please speak up. Every single day that we refuse to give life-saving access to treatments like psychedelics, we will continue to lose more veterans to suicide. We have the life-saving solutions. We just need the support. It's time our government and those that reside inside these walls untie our hands, remove the bricks from our feet, and finally, let us save ourselves. It's the least this country could do after asking all of us to give our lives for it. It's time this country gives us our lives back. Thank you.
Nice. Kelsey just sending it. I love it. So go check out her podcast. I mean, she's very vocal about the access to psychedelics and also the MAID issue. So my comment on this is, the reason why I put it up here is because although I've never, and thankfully, and I was just having this conversation, I dodged the SSRI bullet. So selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which is what gets prescribed when you have a psychological issue, diagnosis, PTSD, namely. That's the go-to treatment. So it's talk therapy and psychoactive drugs, which is SSRIs. But if your hypothesis is that this is what's going to help, and so therefore the numbers that you should see should reflect that you're helping and there's less suicides, but in reality the numbers are complete opposite, where you see suicide rates not coming down and you see suicides at a ridiculously high level. And we need to look to the Americans to get more shocking numbers, because they have greater numbers. So in absolute terms, they have more, right? So therefore, when we look at it from a relative perspective, well, we don't have that many suicides here in Canada with the veteran population. Well, yeah, because there's only roughly about 40 to 50,000 at most Canadians that fought in Afghanistan and Iraq over the last 20 years. So proportionally, we have about the same, but also we do a bad job at tracking it. If you look to the American example, I had this experience when I was in the United States at the Military Influencer Conference. The amount of folks that are on board with psychedelic therapy is impressive. And I'm not just talking about the troops. I'm not just talking about the soldiers. I'm talking about the political leaders. I'm talking about pharma, which is a whole other conversation. I'm talking about retired generals that are realizing this is a way forward. And this is nothing new. I discussed it in my new book, that there's a modality, which is psychedelics, that has existed within human culture for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and has been part of a protocol for any warrior coming back from war, because it's the most traumatic thing that you can do. It's hell, it's brutal. But to come back to a society that just pretends it doesn't exist and then drugs you up with pharma drugs that don't do what they're supposed to do, which is confront your pain. You have to confront it. And so I've yet to go on a psilocybin, or I shouldn't say that. I've yet to go on an ayahuasca journey, but I intend to. But I have done psilocybin. I can say that it has definitely opened my eyes, and it has had a effect on my post-traumatic stress for sure. And I've just microdosed over a period of a few months, and it definitely impacted me. And I can see the benefit. I can see my friends have had massive benefit. You can go on the podcast and listen to Toby Miller talking about his insane transformation, going from 26 medications down to 1 after doing ayahuasca. To not allow this is negligent, in my opinion. And that's why it's important that folks like Kelsey get really loud about this, because the status quo is killing us. And I'll highlight the Grunt Style Foundation, as I'm intimately tied with them and the work they're doing, their awesome work they're doing. They have a whole campaign called Prescribing Veteran Suicides. So this is the single most important podcast we'll ever produce. This episode is a war cry for change that challenges the status quo and lights the path to a brighter future for our veterans. So I highly recommend that you go check this out. This isn't a podcast that I did with them. This is a podcast that I did with, and we'll get through this ad here. This is the podcast I did with Tim Jensen, who is the CEO of Grunt Style and the president of the Grunt Style Foundation. So we had this conversation, okay, me and Tim, about another ad. So go check this out here. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to not have ads ruin the live here, but this episode, which is going to pop up in a second here once I skip it. This episode here, if you go into the YouTube playlist, is a really good conversation about how the system has let us down, because we are inherently rule followers and we follow authority. Hence the reason why we spend so much time in the military. So when we get out and we're told, hey, this is the protocol to make you better, but then it doesn't get us better, we take the brunt. We think we're the ones that are screwing up. But there are other modalities that are out there, and this is why I have the podcast. You need to start expanding your horizons. If you're suffering and you can't get out of the hole, then that means you need to do something different. Now, a big caveat here is you need to do your own research. Okay. This is not medical advice, but being inquisitive and asking questions is on you. So use the resources that are here. Start asking yourself the questions. Well, if so many people are talking about having positive experiences, maybe I could have a positive experience. Sure. I mean, if you are on SSRIs and not getting any breakthroughs with talk therapy and SSRIs, maybe you don't even have post-traumatic stress. Maybe you have a concussion. Maybe you have mild traumatic brain injury. Maybe you have low testosterone. Maybe you have toxic exposure where you have lead that is through the roof. You need to start assessing your own health from a very critical point of view, not just from somebody telling you what's wrong with you, actually getting the numbers and the data that's showing what is wrong. And I've got some awesome podcasts coming up that are going to highlight that, namely looking at genetic testing, looking at blood testing, and start getting into the deep health so that you can go to your doctor and be like, doc, look, like in my case, my doc always wants to put me on LDL cholesterol medication. So like Crestor and stuff like that. And I go, you can go pound sand. I'm not taking that medication. He goes, well, the research shows. I'm like, interesting, because the research also shows that it doesn't have this desired effect, which is making you healthy and avoiding heart disease. So why am I taking it when there's a whole bunch of knock-on effects? And then you list them off. So doctors, if they don't like the fact that you come in with an arsenal of research and questions, go find another doctor. But that's easy to say when you're in the States, not so easy when you're in Canada, because we have a hard time finding doctors. So there's all kinds of options here, folks. If you're curious about like psychedelics, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm going to point you towards the episodes that I've done with Tim, episodes I've done with Toby, episodes I've done with Ryan Carey. I've done a bunch of episodes on this specific topic as well, and so is Kelsey. Go do the research. Okay, ketamine therapy. I've done episodes on it. Just type in my name plus the drug, and it'll likely show up on Google, and start looking at different ways of getting yourself healed. And if VAC doesn't want to cover it, tell them to go pound sand. Go get it done on your own. Go pay for it. Seriously. What's more important, a few dollars or your life? Okay. So I don't want to see any more veterans kill themselves either. So it's time for us to take our health really seriously. So good on Kelsey for getting up and doing that press conference. There's also another event going on here. So shout out to the Vets for Freedom crew. So we've got the Canadians for Truth, Insights from Military Veterans. It's on November 16th. So let's go to this link here. Oh, not showing up. Okay. So, okay. So it's at Canadian Christian College. So if you folks are Vets for Freedom that are tuning in, likely know this is going on, but for those that are not, unfortunately, I can't get more details, but when I do, I'll post them. So get involved. It's coming around that time of year for Remembrance Day. So this is when Canada actually pays attention. So use it to your advantage. If you have something to say, go chat with somebody. Let's head into the comments. So our usual suspects are here. Purple Cat, what's up? Good to see you. Good to see you back. Samson's got a question here. Oh, hey, this is a good question. Samson. Oh boy. Existential. Would it be good to so would you say it's not worth to enlist now? I would say it's always time to enlist, man. Especially, I'm assuming you're a young man. There's still the folks in the military that are going to mold you and forge you into a warrior. What we're talking about here is like on the back end, but when you're young, that doesn't matter, right? You're still going to be able to shoot guns, blow stuff up, kick ass, take names. And if that's what you're looking for, then absolutely, we need as many young warriors as possible. So this isn't an endorsement of the shitty behavior from the Canadian Armed Forces. This is just if you're a young dude and you're looking for a challenge and you're looking to forge yourself into a more respectful and more courageous human being, then the military is always going to have a place for young men. Always. It's where I grew up, and I think it's a great place to do it. Until there's a better option, maybe construction. I don't know. But do something hard. And if you're looking to do something hard, definitely join the military and join a trade that's actually going to beast you. Infantry, engineers, arty, any of the combat arms. I'm biased. So if that's what you're looking for, join any of those. You're still going to get good training. And there's still a lot of good people in the military, trust me. So to answer your question, get her done, man. Get in there. And Tommy Gunn, welcome. And thanks, Samson. I'm assuming these comments for me. I'm assuming it's for me. So let's carry on. Another veteran that I like promoting as much as possible, Dallas the man. Actually, I've got the banner right here. You can't see it. Well, actually here. Why don't we do this? Can you see that? Whiskey and Guitars from a few weeks ago was just an epic concert in Atlanta that he played for the Canada House contingent, and just showing his lineup here. He's got shows coming up all over the place. The Green Beret Foundation is a big deal in November. Sorry, having a hard time speaking. On November 10th, Nashville, Tennessee, and then he's back up in Canada. If you get a chance, I'm trying to see here. Like, I saw him play now twice live, and if there's ever a chance for me to see him relatively close to Montreal, I'm gonna jump on that opportunity, because honestly, he's like an incredible live performer. I'm not just saying that because he's a veteran. He's really good at what he does. So if you get a chance, go support him. Yeah, Arkansas, USA, Alabama. Like, you can see what's going on here, eh, folks? A lot of American gigs. I don't blame them. So that's cool. That's really cool. He's booked all the way till July. That's insane. Book this guy soon, man. Book this guy soon. I'm going to brag a little bit. He says he's going to write a blurb for my book. No big deal, guys. No big deal. Okay, he's going to write a little blurb for my book. It's on the record now. It's on the record. If he doesn't, I'm going to hold him to it. He said he was going to. So I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to read it. It's going to be really good. When I get the cover, it's almost done. The last final touches are going to be put on it. You guys are all going to be able to get a sneak peek. Okay, sneak peek before the rest of the plebs get a chance to look at it. Because you guys actually support what I'm doing. 140 of you. I realize, man, that's actually not bad. You know, I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm always hard on myself. I'm like, 140, 200. Hey, for a live, It's actually not bad. So considering we're starting at like 20 back in the day, we just got more and more people tuning in. Let's head over to the 30 to lean challenge. If you guys missed out, you can still join, but you just don't qualify for any of the prizes. All right. So what is the 30 to lean challenge? It's 30 days of 30 minutes of activity a day for $30, right? So my Veterans Fit AF community is where it's being held. And you're going to learn the basics of getting fitter and healthier and creating a habit over 30 days. And I boil it down to the bare minimum. The only thing you need to do is actually do the work and stay accountable. And gone are the days of like oh, well, you're in the gym 3 days a week, and then the rest of the week you're doing this, and then your nutrition's got to be this. No, it's super simple. It's one sheet of paper and you see everything you got to do. You got to check it off. So it's infantry proof. And the folks here are already doing really well. It's day 4. So we've got folks that are already like down a bunch of weight. Like I had a chat with like William here. He's absolutely crushing it already. So good job, Will. Well done, man. You're already down a few pounds. The leaderboards here, Natasha, Daryl, Wayne, Angela, Eric, like everyone here is already seeing results, and it's only been 4 days. If you want to know the secret sauce, it's not that secret. It's basically walking and staying accountable. Come into the group. You can join, and you can have some fun. It's right here. It's the Veteran Challenge, and you can rock and roll with us. You just can't get the prize. That's it. You just can't get the prize. The prize is a home gym from LeBear Fitness. Yeah, that's a grand prize. Plus, there's a month of free coaching from me, and then a hard to kill. Third prize is a hard to kill merch bundle. But if you guys didn't hop on, I get it. It wasn't a compelling enough offer, but now the folks are in and actually getting results, and there's 40 of us in here. Maybe you'll think twice next year when we run this challenge. And we have 1,000 people, and we have amazing guests like this guy, Philip Ovadia. Okay, this is just my dashboard here, but I want to show you the actual graphic that I spent time working on. Men that have low muscle mass have low testosterone. Oh boy. Okay, so here, let's have a sneak peek. This is actually an old episode, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is that when we're talking about deep health and like being healthy and like getting over mental health issues and stuff like that, you got to be physically healthy. And I'll go back to my book that's coming out on Black Friday. Conversation I had with Hal Hughes, who works with military veterans, police officers, assaulters. He said it. He said, I have yet to find somebody who gets better psychologically that doesn't improve their physical health. So it's not one or the other. It's both at the same time. And if you're wondering why you're not getting better upstairs, maybe it's downstairs that needs some work. So this is part of that reasoning. This is actually an episode I never released on YouTube just because I sucked at releasing episodes on YouTube back in the day because I had like 40 subscribers. So I didn't even bother, but I'm re-releasing this. And this is with Dr. Philip Ovadia, who's a guest speaker next week in the Veterans Getting Fit AF community. And he's talking about why you need to ensure that you take your health seriously, especially your nutrition, and forget what the government is saying. Forget what all the quote unquote health experts are saying. He's a cardiac surgeon. He's going to give you the straight business. So stay tuned. It's only a 3 minutes 54 second video. Here we go. But with the fellows that I work with, this is something that I recognize, and I know there's a trend to falling testosterone levels. If you don't consume enough cholesterol, would that negatively affect your ability to synthesize testosterone, or would your body be able to just create it just naturally anyways, and it wouldn't have a big effect? Do you know if that would be a contributing factor to low testosterone, not actually eating enough?
Yeah, it's hard just by not eating enough to get your cholesterol level that low that it would be a problem, but it does become a concern when we have people on medications to be lowering their cholesterol level to very low levels, that is going to then have an impact on being able to make these essential hormones like the sex hormones. The more common problem that I guess I see is that people with poor metabolic health overall tend to have low testosterone levels because, again, metabolic health is referring to your body's ability to be doing all of the cellular level metabolic processes that we need to be doing. One of them is making hormones like testosterone. And so what I commonly encounter is men with low testosterone levels. My first thought is, let's look at your metabolic health. Let's improve your metabolic health and
Good
see
point.
if that ends up improving your testosterone levels.
It's a huge
The
point.
other sort of indirect problem that I see on these low-fat diets, specifically, I'll point out the vegan diet, but it's not necessarily restricted to vegans, is that if you're not eating, if you're avoiding animal proteins essentially because you're worried about the saturated fat and you're not getting adequate protein levels, you're going to have low levels of muscle mass. And that is something else that contributes to your testosterone levels. We know that men that have low levels of muscle also have low testosterone levels. Those are probably the two biggest problems I see around testosterone.
It's huge.
And just metabolic health and muscle mass in general.
So that's a huge point, right? That I think, unfortunately, a lot of us miss in the conversation about health and wellness, is that you need to keep your body physically healthy, but you need to stay well muscled. And you don't need to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger to be well muscled. You need to have enough tone to move your skeleton through space, but also for you to be healthy. Muscle is one of the best ways to maintain health long term. Mental health is part of it. So, like the good doctor here is talking about, if you're not well muscled, okay, that causes some problems. But in order to stay well muscled, you need to feed your body. And if you want to learn more about what he's talking about, metabolic health, and looking at metabolic health and looking at the link with testosterone, then come join us next week. Okay. The link is in the description to join the community. The community is a $29 community. So it's $1 a day to be in the community. You can take all the information that I've learned over the last 5 years with all the expert guests, and it's all in one spot. And you can actually listen to these guests. So I encourage you to come join us. And after you watch this talk, you can say, hey, thanks. I'm going to take off, but you probably won't. You'll probably realize the value of $1 a day for your own personal well-being and health is probably a pretty good bargain. Okay. So if we move on from here, what are we looking at? Let's look at the episode that I was mentioning at the start of this broadcast with Mike. So I'm just going to show you my screen here. These are all the individuals and the upcoming podcasts that are going to be dropping. So I've got some really interesting guests, to be honest. Dave here actually worked for like 20 years with Tony Robbins, like insane story. Like it's going to fire you up. But the one I want to point you towards is the one with Michael here. So he wrote a book about Abbey Gate. And if you aren't tracking what happened at Abbey Gate, it was the Kaya Airport gate to get in during that fall cabal in 2021. The Taliban were surging into the city. The fall was imminent. The government was collapsing. The Marines were on the ground. We were desperately trying to get our people out. Americans were trying to get their people out. Every other NATO country were trying to get their people out. And then the worst thing that could have happened. There was a suicide attack at Abbey Gate. 13 American Marines died that day. Plus, incalculable amount. Well, I shouldn't say incalculable, but a massive death toll with the civilian population that was there too, of Afghans. This could have all been prevented. And so that just was, I don't want to use cherry on top, but I guess in a perverse way it was, to the complete and utter disaster that was the Afghan war. I remember immediately doing a podcast the next day about it. I was just shattered, just absolutely shattered. I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that this is what it's come down to. Total and utter chaos. And the conversation I had here was really insightful, because to know what was going on the American side of things gives me a little bit of closure, because we didn't really unite our efforts. It was mainly veterans doing a lot of the heavy lifting. The Americans were able to levy their business contacts and political contacts as veterans a lot better than we can. So they were able to mount full-on operations like the Pineapple Express and fund it. Unlike us, unlike Canadians, we don't have the give a shit factor. We don't have the money. We're small time players. So that didn't happen on our end. So we had to rely on government resources, and it didn't really work out. So that's leading us to the next logical conversation. That is this here, which was just in the Ottawa Citizen. Military watchdog calls on DND to do the right thing for Afghan Canadians denied benefits. Robin Hines says her office is trying to get benefits and care for 18 contractors who served in Afghanistan. So this is taking it one step further, and it's just a logical extension of this whole issue, which is, what do we do with all of those Afghan interpreters that wore our uniforms, that were hired by the CAF to provide linguistic services, so translate for us, that got injured, that have real psychological issues, that are here in Canada now and are just told, well, just get back to work and go, to your local clinic if you need help. So to start the conversation here and read a little bit of the article, I'll just blow this up a little bit so you guys can read it. A civilian watchdog is taking Defense Minister Bill Blair and his military leaders to task for abandoning Afghan Canadians who served during the Afghanistan war. A small number of language and cultural, I'll just highlight this here. A small number of language and cultural advisors wore Canadian Armed Forces uniforms, operated outside the wire, and came under fire. Some spent up to years in Afghanistan as advisors to the Canadian Army. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Like I had three terps that worked for me. But because they were civilians on temporary contracts, the Department of National Defense and the military has denied them help or benefits. Some of the language and cultural advisors, or LCAs, were wounded, while others are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. So here's something that if you guys aren't involved in this world, this is an important distinction. Some of the language and cultural advisors, so LCAs, what they're referring to here is actually not the interpreters that I worked with. I know it seems weird. These are the folks that are hired by people like Global Affairs, people like IRCC. So they were hired, but they unfortunately are in this gray zone. So they've come up with a bunch of different legal terms for who we're talking about here. So these 18, although they were on temporary contract in national defense, they're not actually talking about the interpreters that I was walking on the ground with. See how weird that is? Yeah, I know. So there's a moral obligation to do the right thing and take care of these Canadians who serve side by side with our military in Afghanistan. Interim military watchdog Robin Hines noted in a statement to the Ottawa Citizen. Our office has been constantly engaged in this important file since 2017 and currently dealing with 18 individuals, former LCAs. Okay. Instead of helping the LCAs, the military has referred them to organizations such as WSIB in Ontario, and the claims are being rejected. Well, what a surprise, right? We have no accountability and our give a shit factor is zero, even though we're the nice guys, right? We're the nice country. We take care of our people. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are here. Is this something that needs addressing? Is it something that is of importance to you or anybody that you know? Curious to know in the comments. For me, obviously, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. I mean, I thankfully the two families that I guess really wanted to get back to Canada because I worked with them. You know, they're my friends. Thankfully, are here, and so that worked out. But that's the victory I took out of this whole thing. Because if I were to look at the big picture, the overwhelming number of folks that we tried to help didn't get here, didn't get over. They didn't get home. Because I'll be honest, like they're more Canadian than a lot of Canadians. I know it's a bold statement, but very few Canadians decide to put their ass in the line for their country, even if they were asked to. They'd be like, "Nah, not for me." That's okay. But the ones that decided, "Hey, I'm going to put on a Canadian uniform and wear the Canadian flag, and then dodge IEDs and get shot at and have my family harassed and have members of my family killed with a Canadian flag on my shoulder," I don't know. We got an obligation to those folks. So this isn't the typical immigrant. This is an immigrant that has already got a debt, right? The country owes these guys and gals and the families. They owe them. The least they could do is bring them over here and make sure that they get their medical needs taken care of. This isn't the same as the immigration issue with bringing over hordes of students from sketchy ass countries. We're not talking about the same thing here, or illegal immigration. We're talking about individuals that have done a great service to the country already. Some even have documentation that says they're Canadian. Uh-oh. Did I just drop some juicy details that probably shouldn't be in the public sphere? It's true. There's documents out there that have got folks granted Canadian citizenship and are not allowed to come to Canada. They're in places like Pakistan. They're in places like Afghanistan. Some of them are scattered all over the country. And yet they have an official document welcoming them to Canada. How do I know this? Because I have those documents in my possession. And so whoever's responsible needs to get on a mic somewhere and start sorting things out. But it's Canada. Nobody gives two flying Fs about anything. Something as important as 20 years of war? Not important. The longest war in Canadian history? Oh, it was just a mission. Hey, we left all our interpreters over there. No big deal. We've got free dental care. Okay, cool. Awesome. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So you have to take things and matters into your own hands. So as we come around to Remembrance Day, everybody that was over there ate a shit sandwich, including the interpreters. Whether you want to call them LCAs, whether you want to call them locally engaged LECs, locally engaged contractors, every bit of legal terminology that the government has tried to label these folks with so that they can put them in different pots, different pots of money, different organizations. That there's still Afghans that work for Canada. That's it. They work for us. They put they put the flag on their shoulder and they said, "Hey, man, like, let's go. Let's send it for Canada." And I can tell you firsthand that a lot of these interpreters, they work for every other country. They work for the Americans. They work for the Brits. Then they come work for us. They all wanted to work for us. Why? Because we treated them well, we paid them well, and we treated them like they were one of ours. Basically, like they're a Canadian. Hey, bro, like, thanks for doing this. And they all scrambled over each other to get a contract with us. That's because we treated them well. We treated them fairly. And they believed in Canada. They all couldn't wait to come to Canada. And of course, why wouldn't they? So I don't know where this goes. Let's head to the comments here. We got 170. Oh shoot, 178 folks tuning in. It's the pre-Halloween rush. The pre-Halloween rush after this. Everybody heads out and gets their costumes on a Thursday. On a hot Thursday. It's like 24 degrees in Montreal right now. Not like back in the day when you have to put your snowsuit on. Canadian Halloween sucked. I wanted to go as Dracula and just like basically a big puffy freaking snowsuit with like vampire teeth in. My kids, they don't get it. They don't get it. Okay, so Odious. Yeah, man. Talking about the last episode I did here where I didn't fight in a war. Neither did you or anybody else. It was just that it was a disagreement between two cultures. We're just celebrating our differences. Yay. I celebrate my difference by shooting hot lead at you. You celebrate your difference by shooting hot lead back. It's just the way we do this here. And then we have a big rainbow, and then we sit down and we have a shura and we talk it out. That was it. I think that's the next gaslighting operation. You guys are just having a cultural exchange of fucking lead. Make the Corporal News Network, make that t-shirt. Corporal News Network. You're my shirt purveyor. Make that if you're paying attention today. Purple Cat. How many immigrants are actually enlisted in our military? Well, immigrants, depends on the way you define immigrant, right? If you don't have status, you can't join the military. You can't have status, but they are allowing in, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but landed immigrants. So you need to have some status. You can't just be a refugee. You have to have started the process of becoming a Canadian citizen. But that's a slippery slope. Study of history. Rome started letting in all the barbarians into their legions. It just makes you wonder how much allegiance you have to your country if you're only there because you need a job. You're kind of like a conscript, right? And if you don't have the actual same values that are instilled in a Canadian that's born here, we're all sons and daughters of immigrants. So I don't know. The landscape has changed. So you definitely want somebody that's like that's all in on Canada, in my opinion. If you're going to go serve and put your life on the line, it's not a job that you're just like, oh, I'm going to do this job. It's going to be great. I'm going to learn so much. Yeah, you got to really. At least I joined knowing that I could very well lose my life, and I was okay with that. Granted, I was 19. I didn't really know much about anything, but at least I knew that was in the back of my mind. Like, yeah, this is not just like working at McDonald's. I was supposed to go work at Harvey's. And I was like, I'm going to join the reserves instead. And I joined the reserves and never looked back. I was like, screw you, Harvey's. I don't need to flip burgers and smell like hot dogs all day. I'm going to smell like CLP and bug juice. Make the ladies go wild. My stupid ass tan. Bug bites all over my face. It's okay. It all worked out in the end. Got 2 beautiful children. It all worked out. Just looking at the comments here, guys. I'm doing a little bit of triage. Okay. Odious, you got a 70,000 application first calf. Only 700 met the requirements. Okay, are we talking about like individuals that like were like immigrants, like applied? That's insane. I know they're having a trouble with the backlog. There's like mad amounts of people are signing up, and then they're like the recruiting departments are just like, they've got such a culture of complacency that they're just not able to process, and they didn't think that people would actually want to join. But something's not working because I see some really good marketing videos coming out of the Canadian Armed Forces that it's like, dude, maybe I'll sign back up. Maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll see if I can talk to the medical department, see if they can like give me a waiver to jumping out of helicopters and like doing like room clearing. I'm like, yeah, buddy, here we go. And they're like, no. It's a bad relationship. It's not going to work. But if I was 19, I saw that, I'll be like, yeah, sign me up. I'm going to be a sniper. Right? Like every 19-year-old that contacts me, I'm going to be a sniper. Yeah. Okay, cool. I hope you do. I mean, like, yeah, cool. Yeah, how about you get through basic first? So we'll see how that goes down. Samson, it's snowing in Alberta. It's got to snow somewhere. It's got up somewhere, down somewhere. It's Canada. It's a big country, so we got to make sure entropy remains or thermodynamics remains consistent. So well, that sucks. I mean, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it eventually, I think. But at least we put in a refrigerated outdoor rink in my neighborhood. It's like literally being finished in the next few weeks, so that I can actually play hockey this winter. Because last winter just sucked. It wasn't cold enough. It's like the first time in my life it wasn't cold enough. Global warming. Well, Samson, we're doing a de facto recruiting job here. The list process is painful. What happens to the good old days? You can just walk into a recruitment office and list there. Yeah. Hey, that's you know what? I was downtown Montreal for the first time in like 8 months. A few weeks ago. I hadn't been down in a long time. I just have no reason to go down, right? And the recruiting office is closed, like the one right downtown on Cathcart, which is where I had to go. I just go here. I was like, okay. That's after I went to when the units used to do it. They finished like all the interviews and stuff at the recruiting center. It's closed. What the shit? What do you mean it's closed? Like it was right downtown Montreal. Like forces join. That's how you get people to like. Some people will literally walk off the street and be like, oh, "Dude, I want to join the army." Be like, "All right, son, come with me." Well, if you don't have that, I don't know how you expect folks to just join. What you're just supposed to go online. I saw the lame. I know I'm flip flopping here, but I also saw the lamest ad to join the military, the Canadian Armed Forces, the other day. I clicked on it, and it was just some like cute girl being like, "This is a great job." I'm like, who's going to join with that? They're not going to click on. I clicked on it because I wanted to make fun of it. Like, okay, she's pretty. Okay, we got that. But like, the guy that wants to join the military isn't going to go, "Oh, she's hot. I'll join the military." Joining the military for hot girls is not in the calculus. So like your marketing department, like if you're trying to attract the women to join, it's just not happening. They know it's the military. She's in like a outside the wire shirt. Women don't go, "Oh, I see that pretty girl. Maybe I want to be like," no, very few women want to join. Stop marketing to them. They'll join because they want to join and not because of the marketing efforts. They'll join because they have a family member in the military. Most guys will join because there's a family member in the military. But the ones that don't have any connection, like your base is 85% dudes. You get them when they're young. Show guns, show stuff blowing up. Show guys like Dallas Alexander, like greasing guys from like 3 kilometers away. Line up. Know your audience. I mean, that is a great job. It's not a job. Shit. Harvey's is a job. Harvey's is a job. It's a shit job. But no offense to anybody that works at Harvey's, man. It's fast food sucks. I'm glad I didn't have to work there. I'm glad the army pulled me in. I'd much rather be getting bit by bugs than like serving hot dogs all day for minimum wage. At least I got paid. I think it was like, well, it was I got paid $62 a day when I joined back in 2001. But on a 24-hour pay, that's like, what's that? Like less than $3 an hour we're making. That's like back in the day, right? I don't know what a private makes now, but I'm pretty sure it's more than $62 an hour or $60 an hour, $60 a day. ODS. Okay, we're talking about solutions here. I like it. Have veterans run basic training, backlog solved. Oh, buddy. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. You'll get like super crusty, bitter, like that. I don't know if it's the right fit. And these young impressionable kids, you want somebody that's like that hasn't seen the true face of what this thing is. I don't know if I could pull it off. I don't know. And plus, you can go online and see all my shit posting for the military. They'd be like, Dave, they're like, that's sir to you, first of all, kid. And second of all, pretend like you didn't see anything there. These aren't the videos you came to see. These aren't the shit posting of the Canadian Armed Forces that you came to say. You're here to learn to be a soldier. So we'll see. Oh, Vince is on the. Oh, here we go. Vince has always got some insights here. Okay. Vince, what do you got to say? The hard truth, our country and military will continue to struggle unnecessarily until we know who we are. Canada lacks a clear identity, and we define ourselves by who we are not. We're not British, and we're not American. Well, Vince, I think we just got another podcast here. I hope you guys got another hour. You guys got another hour. We're going deep. I can't agree with you more. Yeah. We have zero cultural identity. What is it to be Canadian? And that's something I've wrestled with too. Yeah, we're definitely, we're like, oh, we're not American, we're not British. Okay, but what is Canadian? I think Harper was trying to get at that. You know, like we got like the 1812 battle honors, and we're trying to like make 1812 into like our Independence Day. Didn't quite land, because it's not really true. And on top of that, we were still British after. It's not like we became like Canadian afterwards. So I get what he was trying to do. And then we went down this multicultural route. Well, that's the exact opposite route you need to go if you're trying to define yourself as a nation. Multiculturalism. Now I'm starting to realize, like, I was like brainwashed since I was a kid, right? Well, diversity is our strength. I've heard it since I was a freaking kid, but it doesn't make sense. Yes, you can have diversity of thought, but if you don't have a unifying myth around your culture, who are you? We're just like real regional pockets. And that's why I'm kind of fearful that the Federation is going to disintegrate. I mean, Quebec is already like, I don't know what we are here. I honestly, I don't know why we're still here. Like I'm actually thinking about like, maybe I get involved in like the like plural separatist movement and make it a Anglo and Franco thing. It's the only way it'll work. You know, they need the Irish, they need the English, they need us on board if they want it to work. Because ultimately the federal government isn't looking out for its own citizens here. So like, what's the point of having the federal government? I get treated like a second-class citizen. I'm way off topic now. Ooh, thanks, Vince. But I mean, like, why do we have a constitution if like I can't open a business and put my own fucking language on a sign? I can't. I'll get fined. I know I'm about to get dinged on my website eventually. It's not in French. What the shit is that? My kids can't go to an English school without going through a layer of bureaucracy that nobody else has to do if you're French. What the hell is that? I can't get served in my language. Well, these are all federal things that they say, yeah, you can't do that, man. Like, we have a constitution. But, no, Quebec, no, we're special. No, we didn't sign the constitution. So no, there was it not no compete, something, no compete clause. But notwithstanding, what is that? We're not a country. That's a joke. Think the Americans would stand for that? Hells no, man. Hells no. So aside from hockey, I don't even want to put Tim Hortons in there because it's gross and like nobody goes anymore. What defines us as Canadians? You know, like our war history, we need to double down on that. That brings you together. Like, hey, we're hard fighting, feared soldiers. We kick ass and take names. Okay, that's part of it. Hockey, another part of it. What else? I don't know. Nice? That's not it. That's not it. Anyways, we got a long way to go. But I'm a Republican. I think we need to remove the monarchy completely. Have our own constitution. There you go. When I become prime minister, you can quote this episode. Okay, pull it out of the archives. Thanks, Fitz. Appreciate it. Okay, Carl, I read that wrong. I thought you meant service members. No, I don't think interpreters should get VAC benefits. Interesting. Yeah, see, in this case, they're talking about military, but it's because the military would then translate into VAC benefits. And the reason why they're dragging their feet is because, again, we didn't plan for any of this. And so because we didn't plan for any of this, we're just passing the buck because nobody wants to make a decision. Because then it sets precedent. Nobody wants to be the one that sets precedent. Nobody wants to be the politician that sets precedent. So they're just going to drag their feet until somebody's like, I'm making a decision. This is happening. Because it's a small group of people. And then the next war we get involved in, if we are going to employ local population, we will have a policy hopefully in place because we'll hopefully learn from our lessons and actually enact a bit of legislation that says if you are working in any capacity with the Canadian Armed Forces and you get injured, you are effectively a member of the Canadian Armed Forces And therefore, And if you're not willing to do that, then don't get involved in a foreign war. Hey, we got a lot of things to consider here. Rather than just go to a conflict without really any back end kind of idea of what's going to happen. If people get wounded, we get prisoners of war. We have a whole bunch of veterans that come home and are crusty and like want some recognition. Like the interpreters, like, what do we do? What are we doing? Nobody knows. So we're just not a serious country. But interesting. Okay, Vince. Okay, cool. When I was in 86, 89 to 96. Oh man. It's vanilla ice era. Couldn't behave in certain ways that resembled British or American behaviors. Interesting. Really? Is that like wearing your beret a certain way, having your haircut a certain way? Interesting. Is it like it couldn't behave in like a British manner? Like you couldn't dress up in drag and like beat people up in the mess? Like is that's my stereotype of the British. You get a little bit too drunk and they're putting on a dress and a wig and then they're starting fist fights. Like it's just I don't know. The British are an interesting group of people. Couldn't put bug juice. Oh, okay. Following on. We couldn't put bug juice on our, yeah, that was same here. And that was 2001. It's like, but it's because it's like a Vietnam thing, right? Held in place with the helmet ban. Yeah, because you just did it in Vietnam. Couldn't carry weapons in a certain way because that's how. Yeah, I couldn't carry at the high, like a high port. It always had to be like, I'm like, yeah, but this feels more comfortable. It's like, what do you think you are, Rambo? No, I'm just like, I'm running. I'm running. It's comfortable. I don't know. It's just because it's in a movie doesn't mean it's wrong. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's true. I remember that. I remember that. And the high and tight too. So I don't know if there's the same for you, Vince, but like if you went and got a high and tight, like what do you think you are, a Marine? It's like, no, it's just a cool haircut to like fix that by tomorrow. It's like, so it's like the Americans had the monopoly on the high and tight. It was really weird. Anyways, we'll get to the bottom of everything here, folks. That's the point of the podcast. We're just sorting out Canada's cultural issues, political issues, fitness and health issues, just one after another. This is why we tune into the show on Thursdays. We're just fixing things. I didn't even get into my little, like, I guess, passion, which is I want to talk about it today, but whatever. I'll talk about it next week. It's just the crypto bull run is happening. Talking with John Watson. He's got an excellent Substack. I didn't mention it, but I'll probably screw it up if I type it in now, but I'll do it for next time. So he's a Canadian Forces veteran. He's got a really good Substack, and he was talking about crypto, and that's kind of like my guilty pleasure, cryptocurrencies. So not really the point of my podcast, but I'm just excited about it. Really cool what's happening now. So anyways, I like talking about a whole bunch of different things, and on a complete tangent as well. I may do this. I talk about it next week, but I think Instagram has diagnosed me as being ADHD. So maybe you guys are like, yeah, of course, that's obvious. I don't know. It's news to me. So I'm going to go down and pull on that thread and go down that rabbit hole probably on the next live. But really appreciate you guys tuning in. And Samson, just one last comment here. Is the saying still said, often making lefties right-handed again? I don't know. I don't know about that, Samson, but thanks for tuning in, man. That's all I have to say is thanks for tuning in. It's a live broadcast. You never know what you're going to get. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, and share this channel, this podcast. Stay tuned for my new book coming out. So you're going to want to head to hardtokill.org, sign up to the newsletter. I'm going to be pumping out new updates on there. And if you want to listen to Philip Avadia talk about metabolic health and how cholesterol and diet and everything ties into that, you can come tune in to this private event on the Veterans Getting Fit AF community. It's happening next week on Wednesday. So you can become part of the community. We'd love to have you there. And you can tune in, ask questions. You can even be part of the challenge if you want. And we're just growing the community there and getting veterans healthier, fitter, and harder to kill. So thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate you guys so much. Go enjoy your Halloween. Not too much candy. Train hard, fight easy. See you on the next one. Peace.